We are
Nastasia Filippo,
Lorenzo Alberti,
Francesco Ricci,
Martin Balaban, and this is
Kunst and All.
Welcome to Season 2 of Kunst and All. This episode marks our first step into our new collaboration with Staatsballett Hannover, where every 2 months we'll be releasing a special episode highlighting the artists, visionaries and voices that shape the company today. To start things off, our first guest is no other than the artistic director of Staatsballett Hannover himself, Mr. Goyo Montero. An internationally acclaimed choreographer and director known for his bold, emotionally charged creations and leadership. Former artistic director of Staatstheater Nuremberg Ballet from 2008 to 2025, he helped shape the ensemble into an award-winning company whilst creating 25 new works. Additionally to that, Goyo is a resident choreographer with Acosta Danza and made pieces for dance companies worldwide, like the Royal Ballet, Le Ballet de Monte Carlo, and the National Ballet of Cuba, including many others. Since 2025, Goyo Montero became the artistic director of Staatsballett Hannover, continuing his vision of redefining what contemporary ballet can be.
So welcome back everyone to another episode of Kunst and All. Hi Franci, hi Tazi.
Hello.
I'm really happy to introduce today artistic director of Staatsballett Hannover, Goyo Montero, also known as my boss. Welcome Goyo to Kunst and All.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
On behalf of all of us from Kunst and All, I would like to officially also publicly say thank you for the invitation in collaborating with the Staatsballett. I think it's super interesting for us. And we're looking forward to the many interviews with guest choreographers, stagers, and yourself.
No, I think it's a good idea. And somehow we have to join forces to bring forward dance and artists, So yes, I'm happy to do it.
So to start asking you a bit of question, you had an incredible career as a dancer and choreographer. And for over 15 years, you've led the Nuremberg Ballet. So can you take us back to how this journey began and what first drew you into dance and choreography?
Well, the journey began before I was born, because my parents come from dance. My father was a dancer, a choreographer, and director also in Spain mainly, although in his times they did also a classical career in Germany, in South Africa, and they dance all over the world. My mom, she's still alive. She was also a Spanish dancer, not necessarily in flamenco, but Spanish dance, escuela bolera, folklore, all this type of dancing. And also she was classically trained. She danced as a classical dancer also in Klagenfurt, in Münster, in South Africa as well. And she was a teacher for over 25 years. So my uncle also, he was a soloist dancer in the Ballet Nacional de España. So I came from a family that was already very much connected to art and to dance, I had the fortune of having their influence very early on, and also through through their contacts, I got always into the best schools and with the best teachers, and somehow I was very fortunate to start very early, and as I was not physically gifted, or had classically conditions, like elasticity, fit. So I think it was important that I started very young, and also I had very good teachers that made for me possible to somehow still be able to approach classical dance. Then I trained with Carmen Roche, which is a pupil of Maria de Ávila. Maria de Ávila is one of the main teachers from the Spanish school of dance, let's say, the one that formed Víctor Ullate, and I think Lola de Ávila also. And from Víctor Ullate and Lola de Ávila and Carmen Roche came the generation of dancers that are now big stars, like Tamara Rojo, that now is a ballet director, Ángel Corella, Joaquín de Luz, Maria Jimenez. I mean, all these people that, Lucia Lacarra, all these people that did a great career came from this school, from this system. So I studied with her, although I finished my school in the School of the Ballet Nacional de Cuba, where I was, I think, one of the first or the first scholarship that was given to a foreigner. I lived 1 year in Cuba with all Cuban dancers, Cuban students, and experiencing also a very difficult time in Cuba that was called the Periodo Especial. Periodo Especial was a period of years where the lack of resources was extreme in Cuba. So they were really suffering to stay alive and also to have minimum conditions. So I had the opportunity of, it was hard, but at the same time taught me also many things about what it means to live with very little possibilities, with very little conditions, and still give your utmost to every day and love the work that you do. So it gave me a great perspective of how spoiled we are in this world, in this, let's say, Europe or first world, and gave me a lot of perspective, also human perspective about the people and yeah, somehow generosity, working with each other, depending on each other. All these kind of teachings were not only artistic but also for my life. It was a great journey, let's say. After that, I went to English National Ballet, where I stayed a few months there because I wanted to do the Prix de Lausanne, and I was there before I became a professional. So I wanted to do the Prix de Lausanne and then go into the professional world. So I went to the Prix de Lausanne. I won the Prix de Lausanne and the professional prize of the Prix de Lausanne. Same year that Diana Vishneva won the gold medal. And this is, I tell you, because after life puts you together with the people, and with Diana we have a very strong friendship, and we met many times, and I choreographed for her. And after the Prix de Lausanne, I started my career. I went to Leipzig, Wiesbaden, Royal Ballet of Flanders, and I finished my career as a dancer in the Deutsche Oper Berlin, where I somehow fulfill my dream of being a principal dancer. You know, as a classical trained dancer, you want to be a principal dancer. It's somehow your goal or your reach, you know. And Deutsche Oper was a very important place for me because I had an incredible repertoire. I had the opportunity of working with choreographers like Giri Kilian, watching also Forsyth pieces, Matset pieces, Prejo Cash, Van Manen, and also, of course, the classical rep. So they were extremely interesting years for me as a dancer. After that, while in Deutsche Oper, I started to choreograph, and I did my first piece in 2000, and it was a young choreographer evening. And after that, I started to build somehow my work as a choreographer, and that took over in a moment. I decided not to be anymore following the path of a dancer, but becoming a full-time choreographer. I remember that being a very scary move, especially for my parents, because I was not barely 30 years old, 29 years old. And they were like, okay, you want to throw everything that you achieve away and just go into the choreographic path. And but for me, it was very clear. I didn't want to follow other people's ways of speaking or expressing, but I wanted to find my own voice, you know. So I went into the void. I became a freelance choreographer, and I went through ups and downs, and a lot of projects came down. There was some moments where I thought, oh, shit, did I do the right thing, you know? But somehow I kept going. I kept trying. I kept knocking at doors, and then I got a lot of opportunities already, and somehow they called me to direct Nuremberg, and then started this chapter that has been the last 17 years and the most fulfilling time of my life as an artist. where I had the opportunity of leading a company and as well as choreographing and developing my own, let's say, way of telling stories or transmitting information. And that, yeah, I think it's been going like really fast. So it's kind of incredibly fast. It's a long time, but it went really fast. And then it came the opportunity of joining Hanover and starting a new chapter. And I was kind of, yeah, again, I couldn't say no because I felt that it was the right thing to do. So that in a short way is my life as a dancer, as a choreographer. As a dancer, I had the opportunity of working with people like Fernando Bujones or Silvian Bayar. As a choreographer, I had also the opportunity of making choreography for people like Tamara Rojo or Marianela Núñez or Diana Visneva or Carlos Acosta, Alessandra Ferri. So I had the fortune of working with very different types of dancers in very different companies in the world, and I think I couldn't have had more wishes fulfilled. So I feel totally happy about what I did until now, although I am never pleased about my own work, and I'm always on the search, and I always try to move on, but I was very fortunate. I work hard, don't get me wrong, but I was fortunate because in this career you have to be both. You have to work hard, but you also have to have the opportunities. And I had both things. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of talent that because the lack of opportunities, they didn't make it somehow. So I cannot pretend that it was all my talent, but also a lot of fortune on that way, So.
What a multi-dimensional range of influences you've had. I can't even keep track. I'm already very inspired. Would you say from all of these experiences that there was one particular like turning point in your life or your artistic career that led you to where you are?
Well, I think it's everything a process. I started to cultivate myself very early. I think I didn't want to be a dancer. I wanted to be a writer, I love philosophy, and I love psychology, and I love writing. I was a really shy boy. I had problems communicating with other kids. I never played with other kids somehow because of ballet, also because you never play soccer and you don't go out with other kids because you have to go to ballet classes. So your life is very much it's quite a lonely existence, And I mean, I had a very happy childhood. Don't get me wrong, but I was not the kind of kid that is a social kid, And then I started to do dance, but I kept somehow reading, and I think this combination of having a lot of information within myself and then having my body ready to bring something out with my own expression became my calling to do choreography. The influences, I think my father was an incredible influence because he was also a very eclectic artist. He did musical, he did jazz, folklore, flamenco, opera. He was choreographing operas and also very deep and dramatic work. He worked with actors, with singers. So I was exposed to many different types of culture from very early, and I think I didn't want to be a choreographer, but somehow there was one moment where it clicked, and I was like, I start to have ideas about how, not necessarily of movement, but about storytelling, lighting, images, things that I wanted to bring forward somehow. And then I started to fool around. I was, of course, but I was not the type of dancer that is improvising all the time and really creative in that way. My creativity was more something about writing ideas, not moving. It's incredible because I am a dancer after all, but I am not this crazy kid that is always moving around. No, I'm someone that, yeah, I mean, I was the type of dancer that follows what the choreographer is saying and is doing these things. But then somehow my creativity started to develop from, yeah, and in a few years it took over, you know. And then I started, of course, with the knowledge that I had, inspired by people that were my favorite choreographers. What can I say? Yuri Kilian, Matsek, Bina Bausch, but also Wim van de Kius, and mostly my inspiration comes from movies, you know, movies, books. So it's not necessarily choreographic work or movement, but sometimes light, sometimes elements of story that I want to put together. I am more of a writer, choreographer, let's say, than someone that basically express himself only through movement. I think dance gives you the opportunity of being able to grasp many different types of art and put everything together. Everything is allowed and there is no boundaries there. And thanks God, dancers are also very open people and very skilled. They can sometimes sing, express themselves, talk. And if you give them enough tools, they are able to become very complete performers, you know? And especially if they feel trusted and they feel safe somehow and respected, you know? And I think therefore it's just playing. It's playing with tools, you know? I mean, I did direct an opera, my first opera, The Magic Flute, last year, and it was just a bigger tool. I didn't see any difference in between that and creating a full-length ballet. I think it's just you have to talk slightly in a different language with singers or with choir, or then you talk with dancers. But I think it's basically just to be able to transmit ideas, you know, to communicate ideas and put them there and share them, and then they become something different that is not your own anymore, but is something that is a group work, let's say.
Very interesting. Talking more about artistic directorship and leadership, what do you see as the most important role of an artistic director today?
Well, I think it is kind of like I wrote some things down to be able to express it better, but I would say that it is a very it's a complex combination of talents that you need to have. I mean, because it's communicating at many different levels. It's communicating with the dancers, it's communicating what the dancers need to the rest of the theater, and somehow bringing forward also their needs and the conditions they need to thrive in what they do, you know, and never give up on that, because I think it's only by this stubbornness that we're gonna somehow create little improvements in our work and also in our environment for the dancers and for the companies. Then, of course, is the curator work. I think you have to curate for the audience, but mainly I do it for my dancers because I want to bring my dancers places. I want to bring them into these journeys that I cannot fulfill with my own work, but I need also the help from these genius choreographers that I admire, or from new voices that are coming and I find interesting. So then I get them where I would like to get myself as an artist, you know. So I bring these people that can teach them styles that I think they are canon styles, like, for example, Kilian or Matsek, or it was on his time Nacho Duato, and of course Ohad Naharin, or now in a more actual way Hofe Schechter, that are established, well-known styles that I think they're gonna bring the dancers to the latest developments in dance, you know. But I think you have to also drink from the past and always go back to the heritage that we have, and not forget that, because this is a way of cleaning yourself. It's a way of going back to your roots, which I think is always very interesting, and it's always very demanding sometimes, maybe not pleasant, because it's also maybe not so much fun as other pieces that are more actual and that the young dancers can relate to. But I think it's gonna somehow bring their instrument to a certain purity that then is going to help them to go wild and experimental and go into the limb, you know. I do not like labels, and I don't try to direct or curate a program that has any labels on that way. I think we do dance, and dance is very eclectic and should be that way. I think modern dance can be also very exclusive and very, how you say, very selective. And I don't like that also, because I think I come from classical ballet and became a contemporary choreographer. So I was also underestimating dancers to be judged that way. So if they come from the classical world, we will help them to get the tools to be able to submerge themselves into the contemporary world. And the opposite. If they come from the contemporary world, I would love if they are going back to the classical training, or if they do a neoclassical choreography, they think, okay, I'm going back to something that is part of my heritage as a dancer, you know. So I like these journeys back and forth, you know. I think we are a crossbreed, and we shouldn't pretend that we are pure in any way as human beings or as an artist, you know. So, and that will make us also be more empathic with each other, and also be able to develop even more. In the moment that we think that we are defined, the journey is over. Then we don't have to look anymore. We know who we are. And I still don't know who I am as a choreographer. I hope I can surprise myself and go like, wow, I never thought that I could do something like that. Then it's really worthwhile, you know. Going into the place of safety, and where you feel good and comfortable, and you know that it's going to work, and they're going to love me, and I'm going to be successful, I think is somehow the beginning of the end. For every artist, it's just self-compliance and just laziness and boredom. So I try to also reset myself, and on purpose try not to repeat myself. You know, I cannot sometimes, but because I cannot help it. But I try every time.
We love it. I love the openness you have towards it, because I do agree with you that sometimes the dance world can be very exclusive, and also that there are a lot of people trying to keep this exclusivity and this, like, keeping the labels. You belong here, you belong there. And I agree with you that it's nicer where you can actually shift from one place to another and from one style to another, and it's also much more enriching afterwards for everyone, for people watching, for who's doing it, from who's creating it. So I totally agree with you with all that. I wanted to ask you if about your leadership style, since when you started, that you were very young and in Nuremberg, until now, would you say, like, how did it develop? Like, for example, what did you learn out of it? And I don't know if you had some challenges you had to face or to learn. And yeah, I don't know. Just tell us a bit more about it.
I mean, what you need to understand as a director, and I understood it also through a lot of mistakes, is that you don't know shit about anything. I mean, in the moment that you think that you know how to direct a company, is the moment where you're going to lose it. In the moment that you think that you know better than the dancers what they need or what they want, you're going to be mistaken, because the dancers change, the generations change, they evolve, and they are always different. The dancers now, thanks God, are not the way I was brought up, or the way I was treated as a dancer, or I was treated by choreographers or by teachers, or by, you know, and I was very fortunate and very respected, but I saw many things. I saw also things that happened that I didn't like and that I didn't respect in my career as a dancer. And I work with people that shouldn't be working anymore, you know. So, and thanks God, the societies evolve. And me, myself, also, I think the what I learned is that when I started, I thought I knew what dance was about. I knew what directing was about. I knew also how I wanted to direct a company. And I found out that it is better not presume that. It's better always to think, okay, listen, communicate, and reset yourself again. Reset yourself again. You're going to have less friction. You're going to have less conflict. And I think the dancers, the more they know, and the more they know why you take your decisions, the better they're going to be reacting to that. At the end, of course, you have to take your decisions and you have to stay true to that. It is your plans, it is your vision, it is your. But at the same time, if you don't have the dancers with you, there is no win. I mean, there is no way that you're gonna win, and also it's gonna be not fun at all. It's gonna be a process of hell. The dancers can make you miserable, and you want to make the people happy around you. It's gonna make your work better. It's gonna make the environment better, and in the process especially, and even more with myself because I am a choreographer. So when I'm in the studio, I have to be extremely sensitive and extremely open, extremely exposed. And for that, I need people that they trust me and who I trust to a certain way, of course, in the professional, with professional limits, because we are not, we don't have a personal relationship or we are not family, but we spend more time with each other than with our family. So we need to create an environment where everybody to a certain way is thriving and feels heard, and that we see they've seen, that they are present and that they are respected as they are. They are not treated by numbers, and they are not thrown around and told what to do. I think at the end, most of the times you will have the company coming with you and not just following some kind of unknown decision that someone is taking. So I think that what I understood with these 17 years of directing is that the more open you are and the more honest and kind of giving in this way and more information you give, is not a waste of time. It's the opposite, is winning time, because then you will have dancers that are gonna use also their brains to fulfill your vision, So you're gonna have to do it alone. You're gonna have them beside you,
Thank you so much, Goyo, for this. I think your words are gold, and I am very happy. We've been able to say this, you here on this podcast, and I hope many people can listen to this. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I do try. I mean, of course, you sometimes go through your insecurity. You have to go through your insecurity levels and your ego. And I mean, there is ups and downs, and you can also not pretend that everybody's going to be happy the whole time, because we are dealing with many different personalities. But somehow I think you're going to get more profits and better results, and this is what I learned through doing mistakes and also doing the wrong thing, So I think I can only advise that to people that want to direct. And also, I think for a dancer, I think you want to be heard, and you want to be listened to, and you want to also come with, So I think it's a profit for both sides,
It really sounds like you have the dances always in your mind. Like it's interesting as a director. I feel like you care so much about the dances, and I feel like that would also, then the work that you put in your company would reflect also for the audience, that joy that you bring into the studio, and the passion that
I mean,
you share.
I do have talk with the dancers a lot, and I always say this thing that I still believe is true. I think every day it is important that you go home in this career that is so short, knowing that you did some kind of achievement in any direction, even to know what you don't want to repeat anymore, or who you don't want to work anymore with, or but it cannot be sometimes maybe something with your technique, but it can be something about something artistic that you saw or that you read or that you listened to, or someone that you watch. But I think, it's such a short way that we have as a dancer, where your body is still healthy, but your mind is more and more mature, that I think you don't have a minute to lose, So I think you have to be very taking care to take the right decisions at the right time, because your career can really go really quick away, and you don't somehow miss something that could have been more fulfilling, or where you could have been happier, somehow. Not pretending to copy any image. I think it's very scary now. With all this social media and all this information, you always have the feeling that you are not fulfilling what you're supposed to do, that you're missing something, that someone else is doing more than me, that someone is more popular, that someone is looks better. As a dancer, it's very difficult to understand what really dance is about, and especially for these young kids when all they have is these things that they get here and they think is dance, and this is just it's just the surface of something that is glittery, but it is not dancing, and it's not also real, So yeah, I think they're coming maybe out from the school and then they find that the ballet companies and the world of dance is not that, and that dancing is also not this kind of thing. And somehow they get disappointed and then they lose their north, and they need to be guided somehow by other dancers or by directors or by choreographers to be able to find again this kind of like course, find the course, within the professional world. So I think that's why I like to work also with junior companies or in the Prix de Lausanne or with young dancers, because I think it is very important these first years of career. They're going to be defining the rest of your life. Also, mental health, physical health, the way you approach training, the way you approach pain, the way you approach injury, insecurities, castings, this, that, I am not good enough, I'm failing someone. And all these things can be very, 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 very extreme for a young person. I remember me being depressed because someone didn't cast me and it was my dream and I was gloomy. And then, you need someone to be able to tell you that everything will pass, everything will be okay. All the good things will pass, all the bad things will pass, but somehow you have to stay the course. And at the end, it's more than one role or one choreographer. It's just about you being healthy and being fulfilled mentally, physically, and motivated. And sometimes motivation comes also from ourselves. We can also not expect someone else to be always feeding us motivation, So also learning that is very important when you're young.
Amen.
Yeah, that's very nice to hear, and it's so interesting and also so complex to put everything together. But I always wondered. I think many of us always wondered, like as an artistic director, when you have to shape your season, having in mind all these things. How do you choose the repertoire that is able to inspire dancers at the same time knowing that it needs to sell tickets, at the same time knowing that it has to follow your vision, at the same time thinking about the audience, what is perceiving? It's like, how do you combine all these things together?
Well, I think I always try to put myself in the place of the audience, what I would like to see myself, what I would like to watch myself as a spectator, someone that is coming to the theater and it wants to go places. And then, for example, in Nuremberg, we started from zero, because basically there was a dance theater company before, very successful, but with a very small audience. And then we started to bring dance, and in the beginning they thought that I was going to do classical ballet because they saw my resume, but I came out with what we do, or my choreographic style, and I started with storytellings like Romeo and Julia, for example, and then I started to bring guest choreographers. So everything was kind of like building a little house, from the ground up. You start to also bring your dancers where you want them. I brought people that were reference to me, like Matt Seck or Jiri Killian or Nacho Duato, to start building this foundation, And then from there we went into more modern work, like going through the story of dance, somehow. And after, when we achieved the dancers and we put them where we wanted to be, somehow everything was at hand, and already the choreographers wanted to work with us and they knew who we were. So it was much easier. And with the audience, really, I think if you do something that has heart, honesty, and they will come. I have no doubt. I think maybe I will fail. I don't know if in Hanover is going to be as successful as it was, but in Nuremberg we started with, I don't know, 25% of the audience, and in the last seasons we were 95% all sold out. There was a kind of expectation, and no matter what we did, the most experimental work or sometimes neoclassical work like Jean-Christophe Maillot, everything was full. Everything was full because they trusted us. At the end, they trust the person. They don't trust the program. They trust the company. They trust the dancers, and they trust what is behind, So they already know that we are going places that they're gonna be interested with, and then they find their own favorite, but they still come and watch everything else, which is kind of like you need to infect them. I mean, you need to basically show them who you are and show the dancers in class and talk about what is dance. And I mean, I think there is no way out. It's very easy to fall in love with the dance world and with the dancers because they are extremely interesting artists to watch and to follow. And it is quite, most of them, they have in these lives that are all about sacrifice and also going through difficulties to become what they are. I mean, the one that has an easier life is the one that has a gifted body and money, so they could afford to pay for the dance school and go places. Most of the dancers come from families that couldn't support them, and they did all necessary to find their way, and they still made it. So it's very easy to admire and love these artists. You just need to put them forward. I mean, you cannot keep them behind. You want the audience to see them and also to have their favorite. I mean, everything is invented. People went to Stuttgart Ballet to see not only Kranko work, but also Richard Crago, Marcia Haide, all the artists that came there. And the same thing with all the great choreographers. The great choreographers support themselves on great artists, on great dancers, And I think that is what is fascinating. And that is what I try to provide. And then sometimes it's hit and miss, but sometimes you make great programs that are combining very well, or a great season where you go, wow, it's perfect. And I think most important, you have to make it for the dancers. And I never tried to do commercial work. I always did somehow what I wanted to do. So again, I was fortunate. I know in some countries you really need to take care because you cannot follow that because you need to sell tickets. You need to sell tickets. But somehow with the program that I did until now, we still sold tickets. Maybe not the first time because I remember triple bills not being sold out, but then they saw how amazing a triple bill is and how it's sometimes even more exciting than to see a story ballet because you get these three different styles and you see the dancers doing sometimes three different works, the same dancers, and you go like, how amazing that these dancers can go through all these different things. So everything has pros and contras, but I think I will also not, I mean, I cannot say I will not, but I will not do my programming just thinking about selling tickets because that will be selling out. And this is not what we do. Or let's say not what I wish I would do, I mean, until now I didn't, and I hope I will never have the necessity of doing that,
Good. I like the thing that you stay truthful to yourself first and your dancers. Meaning like I have a very clear vision and I'm gonna go with it with what I feel this works for us, this works for my vision, for my company, for my dancers, and I am sure the audience will learn to love it. I love this idea because it's much more inspiring, I think, than is just panicking and saying like, oh, this is not going to sell. We need to sell tickets. So let's do this program because we're sure it sells, It's empty, I think, a little bit. I don't know. I am talking by a very ignorant point of view because I've never been an artistic director, but I imagine how complex it must be. But I will just say it's nice to think it this way, how you present it. It's very lovely.
I guess this also comes with, you have to build the right team that would like to also follow that vision and get on that boat, which I'm sure I can think of many artists that would. Yeah, I'd be really curious to hear, as a director, you have to go through a selection process, of course, to choose these dancers because there's only a limited amount of people that can join an ensemble. Yeah, so like I feel like when auditioning, there's a fine line for dancers to stand out, but also fit in a company. Um, and I'd like to hear what interests you beyond technique.
Well, I think it's very difficult to explain. I don't think you can grasp what you want because I like different people for different reasons, and I don't have a type, you know. I don't believe in types also because myself, I also don't belong to a type, you know. I mean, and I was also typecast because of my size and always had to fight this kind of thing, you know. So I like tall, I like small, I like strong, I like also sometimes thin and fragile. And the same thing with the techniques, you know. I have a lot of contemporary dancers, but also dancers that started in classical and did somehow work with contemporary choreographers. And I think most important for me is more and more is that especially in contemporary companies, and I think in every company should be somehow the same, even if they're gonna kill me in the classical companies. I think it is important that everybody feels connected with each other, and of course we are individuals and we are working very much in our own instrument. But I think it's important that you think that you belong to a group. I think I want dancers with this ethic of belonging to a group and sticking the neck for each other, somehow being there so someone else can take the light, and then you are supporting this and you are enjoying that because you know that the next time you're going to be there and you're going to take the light and this person is going to be beside you enjoying that. I think when this happens, it's pure magic, you know, because then you see a company somehow that is more than a compendium of individualities, but it's something that is much stronger. I like this idea of the monade, you know, this concept about this system of where every number maintain their own personality and their qualities, but they create something that is still together and is one. You know, I think this is the concept of a ballet company, and this is where you see this strength. And then I think the audience also is very much overwhelmed by that. Of course, because of the single artist, don't get me wrong, because then they will focus on this person or on that person, and they will find this thing that they're looking for, but that they are somehow yeah a system by itself that is supporting each other and is pushing each other up and helping each other to thrive and to develop. In an audition, you cannot judge that, but you try to feel it. You try to feel the personality of the dancer, especially when you talk with the dancer. You try to get also information from colleagues or from other directors or from people that work with him and that you trust to see, okay, is this person somehow someone that has this idea about a teamwork, you know. And I don't like that the dancers that think that they are above other dancers or that they are better or that they are more talented I don't like the concept of I am in front and you are in the back. I don't believe in that. I don't think it's healthy for any type of dance, but especially for contemporary dance, it's totally impossible, you know. So because it is a small group of people and we spend a lot of time together. So there has to be a certain atmosphere, you know, a working atmosphere. And then it is the calling that you need. You know, I think sometimes I'm looking for the role that I want to create for, or for the energy that I'm missing in the group. Sometimes I have someone that is stronger, and then I need to have someone that is more fragile, or I have a lot of very technical dancers and I need a dancer that is more of this kind of I don't know, creature that you cannot define and that is not going to fit at all with the rest of the dances, but is going to complete what we need, you know. So, and I think the more diverse, the better. It helps me in my choreography, it helps me on my curating also. Uh, Sometimes I'm gonna bring also guest choreographers that fit with some part of the company, guest choreographers that fit with the other part, but then everybody somehow is gonna be fulfilled and used to the full, you know. And I think this is also something very quite magical. If you just have the same dancers and you are always bringing the same style, because it's the style that you do and it is what you believe. I think at the end it's boring for the dancers, it's boring for the audience, and at the end, for me, it's not exciting as a director to watch. I like to bring choreographers that cannot do what I do. Otherwise, I will not bring them. I will not bring people that are doing what the type of dance that I do. I like to bring things that are contrasting me, complementing my choreographic work, and also giving the dancers what I cannot give them myself. Sometimes you need to be bringing the dancers in a zone that they don't know if they're gonna be able to make it or not, and then interesting things are happening somehow.
Yes, exactly.
Shifting more the topic to choreography and creativity, you often work with emotionally rich and theatrical material. How do you guide dancers to bring their own depth to a role?
I will give them reference of books or movies or music, and then they find that they make their own. I think at the end, I do choreograph through my body and through my physicality as much as I can, of course, and my body allows. But it is in the conversation, and it's in this communication where the work start to come to life, and at the end, it is not even something that belongs to you or belongs to the dancer. It's something that it just has their own life. It's the same thing where when you come to choreograph, you come prepared, but you also have to let go, and have to say, okay, let's see what is happening today, and somehow the most interesting days is when things are surprising you and you end up in a place that you didn't plan to go to, so, and this is not because of you, but because of the dancers you interact with, because they brought you to this place, and somehow you have to let go and say, okay, I feel safe there because they will take me back, they will bring me back to where I belong somehow. So we find a way together, and then it's really interesting to work. So and then it's very exciting because it's kind of like it's going away from your hands, and this is scary but beautiful when it happens.
You've spoken a bit about bringing guests into the company. I'm sure you have to collaborate with many artists when you do your own work, as well as when you curate repertoire. I'd be interested to hear how are these collaborations shaping your choreographic process or your artistic vision with the company?
I mean, there have been the most fulfilling times, especially I can only refer to Owen Belton, which is a composer I work with for already 11, 12 years. I got to know his work because he's a composer of Crystal Pite and he works with her in a lot of pieces. And I remember calling him and asking him to collaborate with me, thinking, okay, he's not going to do it. And then since then, we developed a friendship and a relationship that is kind of like, I cannot imagine doing a new piece, somehow not calling him, and having his music. I think working with a live composer is one of the most fulfilling experiences that a choreographer can have. Same thing with Lera Auerbach that did also two ballets with Maria and Faust, and then working with artists like, for example, Thomas Nuner is an actor that just passed away, and he helped us working on Uber den Wolf, and also he trained the dancers for Steppenwolf. He's mainly an actor. He was an actor, a drama actor. And then working with opera singers. I think I like to go out of my safety net, working with artists that are from different disciplines, and that bring to me something that is totally exciting and totally new, and that I love to approach. Also working with video artists. I mean, my big dream is to become a movie director in another life. So I don't know if I will ever do it, but I try to do a lot of. I did already a couple of movies, of dance movies, and I think the visual art and the visual form is also something very, very, very inspiring for me. So yeah, I think I do not make a difference in between having a guest dancer or having another type of artist coming up and collaborating with me, but I think, yeah, I think every project demands a different tool, a different toy, a different approach. And I think this outreaching and going to places that you don't know and working with artists from different disciplines brings you your dance to another dimension and also helps you to evolve and develop. So it is most important in my work.
I just wanna say I was very excited now with the new page of the Instagram for Hanover that I saw you called Alice Blangero there as a photographer.
Yes.
And I want to mention her because I follow her and her work. I think she's an amazing photographer because she works with Monte Carlo, with Le Ballet de Monte Carlo since many years. And I follow her since many years because I adore her pictures. And I was very excited when I saw your picture. First thing, I wrote Lorenzo and I was like, oh my God, you have Alice there? She's the best. You're so lucky. Fantastic.
Yeah.
She's very sensitive artist. I think she took from me, I'm very shy, and she took some of the best portraits that I have. They are from her because she's someone that observes and hides and then takes something very unique from every artist that captures something else than just the look, And I
Yes.
wanted to have that for our company because I do think that there is something extremely beautiful when you see people and they are not posing, they are basically just there, and I think this is for me the best pictures to watch somehow. So I want to keep working with her. I think it's a wonderful artist, and she's always has this very incredible way of capturing dance also that is not just, let's say, the classical way of capturing dance, but always looking for a different angle to it, so
I agree. Yeah. For me, since the moment I discovered her, it is hard for me, she has something very specific and I cannot put it in words what it is. I think you managed better than me, but it is that I think the way how she takes pictures have something different that it's hard to look at, and sometimes you even forget that is a dance piece because you are more attracted by sometimes the colors, the moments, the expression. There is so much else to look at in a picture, even though they're dancing or there is a pose or whatever.
well
Yeah, so I agree.
I have to say that I am, I mean, Jean-Christophe Maillot, which is my mentor in a way because he was in the jury in the Prix de Lausanne when I was 18 years old. He has the fortune of having her there all the time, and he's also someone very clever, so he knows what is talent and he knows, and he has the possibilities of bringing all this to him. I had also the opportunity of working with him. So when you talk with mentors also and with people that are reference, I think Jean-Christophe for me is a big reference of someone that is 63 or 62 or 63 years old and is still full on. It is like someone that just started a career because he has so much passion of what he does, and he's a very good person with his dancers, and his dancers love him. So this is very inspiring. Also as a choreographer and as a director, after so many years, he has the illusion of a kid. When he's going there and when he's rehearsing and the way he talks to them. So I would like to be like that when I'm 63.
Nice. Thanks.
Looking ahead at Hannover Staatsballett, so starting August 2025, you took the helm of the Hannover Staatsballett. What drew you to this new role and what potential did you see that made you take this decision?
I mean, it was Bodo Buse. I have to say it was not anything else. I did present myself to direct all the companies in the process while I was in Nuremberg, and it didn't happen. But Hanover, I didn't look for. I was called for. I think the things on life that happen for a reason. I think when I got Nuremberg, I was also called. I didn't present myself or went through any process, which was just so lucky, and I was chosen. And with Bodo, it was like that. He called me and he said that he wanted to build a new company, for Hanover, and that he wanted me and nobody else. So and then we started to talk, and of course for me it was a difficult decision because what I had in Nuremberg, it took a long time to get it where I wanted to have it, and now it was there, it was perfect, it was working, it was successful. I could still go out and do sometimes work outside in very important places. So I was respected and loved there by the public, and my intendant also allowed me to do what I wanted to do with total freedom. So I think I was fulfilled to a certain way, but I was still craving for a new start. I think a new start is necessary in order to go out of your comfort zone. And Bodo was very convincing because he has a great enthusiasm for dance. He has a great love of dance. He knows dance. He knows many choreographers, many dancers. So he's not someone that is just, like some other intendants that they sadly they don't have any idea of dance, but they still curate and direct a theater where there is a ballet company. Bodo knows what he's doing, so or what he wants, So I think choosing me, he wanted me. I was kind of like, okay, let's see what can we do in Hanover, and the conditions in Hanover are already better than the ones in Nuremberg. More dancers, better conditions, studios, stage. Not a big difference, if you would say, but I think it was for me a way to think, okay, maybe I can achieve in Hanover what I couldn't still achieve in Nuremberg, and it's a way of evolving. And I think taking a risk is also very exciting. I think it's very important to fail sometimes, and also to take the leap of faith and say, okay, let's go, and no matter what, I think it was the right time to do it, and it felt right, it's scary at the same time. And sometimes, of course, there was doubts, and there will be doubts in the next months, in the next years, because you never know if you did the right decision. But I think, there was no choice. I had to do it.
Yeah, personally speaking, I'm incredibly happy to be on board for this, because even as a dancer, to join a company that is starting together, it's like I made this example already. I think it's like getting on the train while the train is departing, and I think it's getting on the train while the train has been running for years with dancers that are there since many years. So you need to fight for roles, you need to wait
Yes.
at your opportunity, and being on board when it's starting brand new, and you are like the repertoire is on you, like there's someone teaching you firsthand, because sometimes in bigger companies there's no time, so it's like get a DVD, or like you don't have the time to really rehearse it. So it's very different also as a dancer, a feeling to go on stage feeling part of this rather than jumping in because that dancer got injured.
I mean, for me, it was a very important thing as a dancer to work with a choreographer, to work with a creator. I had the opportunity of doing great ballets, but it was always, there were ballets that were done before: Stamping Ground, I don't know, Five Tangos, all the classics. I mean, yes, it is exciting, but to work with someone that is creating something for you with your tools, with the way you dance, I think is really, really, really interesting. And I wanted to give that to my dancers, and that's why I like to also bring sometimes other choreographers, not other than me, creating new work, not only existing work. So I hope we're gonna have the opportunity of doing that in Hanover with the people that I admire and that I would love to bring, And I think it's very exciting to have a start. The first time you see your audience, the first premiere that is coming, the first full length that we're gonna achieve, or the first narrative ballet, see how they tick. And also sometimes winning them is more exciting than already having them, So I think it's gonna bring great things, and also the interaction with a complete new company. Of course, some people came from Nuremberg with me, but there is a lot of new blood and new artists. I think it's gonna bring my work different places as well. So I think this is very, very interesting somehow, and exciting.
Yeah, Goyo, about that, we want to dig a little bit more, but I don't know how much you can spoil from what you're going to do in the future. Like, we want to know if we can expect any initiative that you're very excited about, for example, in the repertoire or in the company structure, in the outreach, in any kind of thing. Is there something that, but I don't know how much you can spoil or you can say? So
No, I mean, I can tell you that we've been working already, and we are about to see whether we can build, I hope soon, but I don't know how soon, depending on the economical situation, a junior company. I think a junior company would be something exciting for Hanover and for Niedersachsen also. Something that
cool.
is building a bridge in between the school and somehow the professional work. And because I love to work also with young people, I think I would love to start this process where I can invest even more in putting them and bringing them into places somehow, not only to our company, because of course it is important to have a ground where you build your dancers for the future, but also to go to other companies. I think it would be totally exciting to see if we can give them this last shape or give them this last push to be able to be a better artist and better and healthier artists, and also artists that are able to have a long and fulfilling career in wherever they go, so, and also invest in their somehow bring them places, so that would be exciting, and this is something that would be very new and that I would love to do. So we are working on that. I have the support from Bodo, and we are looking for possibilities to build that up, and I'm quite stubborn, so I think we will get it sooner or later, so. And I think in Hanover there is place for that because it's already a dance city. It's already a city with a great tradition on dance. So I think having a junior company, it would be something really exciting. So that I can tell you. On the programming, I would like to bring somehow all the people that I brought to Nuremberg, all the people that I couldn't bring to Nuremberg, that I couldn't convince. I will convince them to come to Hanover. And I think having creations from the people that are for me, not the best, because there is no better or worse, but very interesting voices that you must see, and having them invest time and create for our dancers, that would be also a dream of mine. We started to do it in a certain level in Nuremberg, and I would like to go a step further. Turin, I think, is also something that, even if it's a German company, that is of course difficult to move around because we have a lot of commitments in the house and with our audience. Once or twice a season, it will be totally healthy to go out. We are going to Madrid this season, and I hope we can every season go to a different place at least to show our face internationally, and then doing all sort of interesting projects that I hope are crossovers. Like I really see ourselves doing digital projects, movies, things that are gonna go in different levels out and bring us places. So.
Cool. I mean, I wish you all the best. It sounds all very exciting. So looking forward to see this evolving.
Thank you.
What do you look forward to? Like, are there any upcoming production, premieres, or collaboration you're especially excited about?
Well, I am kind of like step by step. I have to do a new Swan Lake this season, which is for me kind of like the ballet of ballets. So it is a big responsibility. I don't do storytelling ballet for a long time. I did Cinderella, Nutcracker, and Romeo and Juliet, and all that. But I want to see what we can bring out with this storytelling, with this amazing score, this amazing music. And then I have a very beautiful project that is coming I'm going to do the first ballet about Jorge Luis Borges that is ever been done for the Teatro Colón in Buenos Aires. This is also something very, very important. Julio Boca had asked me to do that, and I think it's a beautiful project because I love Borges since I am 12, 13 years old. I read his work upside down. I know it by heart. And I was always wanting to make a ballet about Borges, and now we finally got the rights to be able to do that. So I think this I'm very much looking forward, because it's a material that is just to dream for, you know. So I think we're gonna make something very I hope something very interesting with that, and this is a big dream of mine, you know. So that should be the two upcoming projects. Yes.
Amazing. To wrapping up this super inspiring interview, if you could pass one piece of advice to the next generation of choreographer or artistic director, what would it be?
I mean, choreographer, I would say never give up, never give up, never think that you're not gonna make it. You will make it if you know what you want and you know how to communicate that, you know. So sometimes you just need to keep going and trust, you know, and keep studying and keep active and keep creative in some way, bringing your tool forward. Even if sometimes it's difficult to find a catalysator of that, you know, a way to bring that out, you know. So yeah, don't give up. And to an artistic director, listen, you know, I mean, listen, stay open and communicate. That would be somehow my advice to someone that is starting. Don't think that you know. You're going to be very early proof that you're wrong.
And to close up about this topic, what's the best advice that you received about art and creativity in general?
Well, I guess I like what Picasso used to say about being always, you have to find creativity while you are still working, while you are at work, you know. It's something that I try to apply myself, but I'm very inspired by this idea lately, that all the ideas that are already existing, that you are just picking them up like you pick up fishes, you know, like David Lynch used to say, you know. I mean, this thing that is this golden fish that is just there, and you just throw and you pick up the fish, but the fish is already existing. You are not inventing. Ideas are just floating around, and you are just going there. I like to go into this kind of wave, and then really interesting things are happening. And whenever you allow yourself enough space and enough breathing and enough room, mental room, to be able to calm your thoughts out, you know. So I do it a lot with diving. Diving is very, very transforming for me, because it helps me going into a different space and time, you know, which helps me also to open some channels that a nervous person like me is difficult to do sometimes, you know.
On a personal level, what music, book, or performance has recently moved you or sparked your imagination?
Well, at the moment, I'm always, I am very sad, because I'm always looking for music for work, you know. So I'm basically listening to a lot of music, but most of it is for a purpose. Even if it's unknown, I'm just listening to music that I know is going to inspire me something, you know. I think there is this the Creative Act from Rick Rubin, you know, is this music
Yes.
producer.
Actually, Lorenzo and Anastasia, they actually gave it to me for my birthday a few years ago. That same book.
That's very good book. I think that was
Yes.
for me very kind of like, wow, you know, there was some ideas there that are really really opening channels, you know. And I think it's very well written, and I think it's very humble in a way, and it's very it's opening things, you know. And also the David Lynch, I think it's called Follow the Golden Fish or something like that. I think it's about meditation and the way he found his creativity through that, you know. That also helped me a lot fishing my own ideas somehow, or finding a different channel to go through. And yeah, I mean, pieces that I saw, I'm always I'm kind of, I mean, most interesting work that I've seen lately is from Hoja. You know, I saw Venezuela again lately, and I think it's an amazing piece. It's kind of like, it's the repetition of the first part into the second part with a different music. That is also with Hoja. It's about something incredibly simple, but it's an incredible idea, So he's very clever in that way. And it really amazed me how a choreographer can keep so many years at the job and still find new ways and new ideas and something that is incredibly modern and timeless, I think I read the other day something interesting also that is about you're gonna only create great work if you are very specific and very local and talking about something that you know very well and that is very much about you and what you know. And then you want to be able to become universal somehow if you do that. And that was also something that touched me because it is the work that I love, that is still very personal in filmmaking, in writing and all that. And it's about basically something that it is not pretending to know about someone else, but knowing about your own self. I like the work with Paul and Sol because it has also this Paul Lightfoot and Sol Leon. It has also this biographical background always, so it's very personal, and at the same time, it's very universal because it's very clean and pure, and so they achieve also a great closeness. So I like different works from different choreographers because they show me how amazing this type of art is, how you can still outreach and take things and transmit things with so many different tools and so many different ways. It is fascinating also.
And Goyo, what is something that you're proud of that you never get to talk about?
That I'm proud of. I mean, I'm proud of my son. I try not to talk about my son, how proud I am, so he doesn't, uh, but I try to tell him sometimes. I think it's important also to tell him how proud you are. He's singing, he's finding his voice, his artistic voice. And this is something I'm very proud. And I'm proud about, I mean, the good thing about, directing is that the joys are not often, you don't get many joys, as a choreographer it's a joy every rehearsal. No, you come to the studio, there is this contact, you get this fix, this drag, that you just come there, you get it, and then you go. As a director, it's a slow burner. It's something that but when you get the satisfaction, it's kind of like really beautiful because it's kind of something that is not belonging to you, but it's more about the others. It was nice to leave Nuremberg and also to see what we achieved from distance because I'm not. I have problems enjoying success. I do a premiere and I immediately want to move on to the next, and I don't want to thrive on it, or even if it's successful, I don't want to. I don't like it anymore. I don't. I enjoy the process, but not the result. But when you see what you achieve as a choreographer and look back and say, okay, look, 17 years, I am 50 years old, and we did this. It's already kind of like, okay, maybe you can be happy about that, but still not let that define you in any way, and don't be falling onto that thinking that, okay, now we're gonna be automatically okay, or we're gonna be able. That would be the wrong move. So, but still, some little happy moments, and as a director, you get some, and when you get them, they are really, really beautiful.
If I'm not mistaken, your son performed in your latest work in Nuremberg, right?
Yes,
That was
yes.
very touching.
That he did a song from Schubert, from the Winterreise, and it was like the voice of death that was coming to talk to me, but at the same time was my father and it was my son. So it was a very magical, quite sad and quite moving moment. But I think it was a great way to closing the circle and also communicating to the people that were there and they are not there anymore. That we are moving on, that we go to another address. So I think that was a great way, and it was his first appearance on the stage, and I think it was he enjoyed it. I think he's infected already.
Nice, great.
Yes.
What a great conversation we had so far, Goyo. I mean, it's been like really interesting to listen to you. Like you gave us, I would say, so many inputs, And also it was nice to know a bit more about your life and your career, and also how you think, how you process, how you develop and everything. It's really cool. I just want to ask you one really, really last thing, but you already mentioned something before, so I don't know if you want to add something else. I was curious to know, on a personal note, what are the things that help you feel grounded or to bring comfort if you need some? Before you mentioned diving, that is something that you feel like it brings you a little bit like that, if I understood right.
Yeah. I remember myself this year because I couldn't go diving this summer because our vacation was very short. And I remember this Michael Mann movie, Collateral, where the taxi driver is looking at a picture from an island, and he's going there. I go this place, I'm watching pictures of me diving, trying to calm myself when I'm stressed, because it really brings you to another dimension, and somehow you have to fight your fears because it's very scary when you are that deep down and you know that you cannot get out quickly. And it helped me also to deal with my nervosity, and in a way I try to do yoga, which every day brings me also to a place of finding my own self. Sometimes I achieve some meditation, although sometimes the noise is too heavy, the mental noise, so I don't get a regularity there. I would like that, like David Lynch, to do at least 20 minutes every day. I don't achieve that, but I think yoga and a little bit of physical work on your own self brings you to this place where you make something for you, and then you are ready to do something for the others. So you cleaning yourself, you cleansing yourself. That helps me out a lot because I am not into gym. I'm not into gym, or I didn't do any sports. I'm not a sport kid at all, So I think also through gym or sports, you can get also this kind of cleansing but I do it with yoga and a bit of meditation every day, and lots of diving in the summer.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Goyo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Great questions, and I hope that your podcast goes on, and you look like you have a great team also around you, and I think it's nice to transmit all these informations. I think the lobby, we need to the dance community needs to be stronger, needs to support each other. We are brought up thinking that we are alone and that we should remain alone, and that's why we are not stronger as a community, and our conditions are still not equal to other type of artists in our like singers or musicians. So I do think that the world of dance is waking up also finally, and is starting to see that their voice is heard, and I think it is important, this kind of channels that you have to communicate with other dancers and with other companies and with other artists, so they don't need to fear and they don't need to think that they are alone.
Exactly. Thank
Yeah.
you, Goyo. I
Thank
think it's
you.
essential what you just said at the end, and it's a little bit what we are trying to do with this podcast. So thanks for supporting us. Yeah, we'll see each other soon. Hopefully at the premiere in October.
Please come. It's gonna be fun. Okay.
Yes, I'm sure. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Kunst and All Staatsballett Hannover. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And you can also find all featured episodes on the Staatsoper Hannover website. Don't forget to follow Staatsballett Hannover on Instagram, as well as Kunst and All for more updates and behind-the-scene content. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to reach out and share your feedback. We are Lorenzo, Nastasia, Francesco, and Martin. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, stay kunstig!